All right, welcome to this week's episode of Making the Call. I've got Rosie, Austin, and Alex with me this week, and we're going to start off catching up on some sports stories, and then we've got two really fun and exciting fantasy segments that I'm excited for, and then we're going to save kind of the downer news for last. So if you're still with us by the end of the podcast, we will talk about the Dallas Mavericks and their season being over and the league investigating them for apparently being the only team that has ever tanked before.
Ever to tank, yep.
In the history of the NBA. So we're going to get to all that at the end of the podcast. But before we get to that, Alex, John Rahm won the 2023 Masters.
Cool, calm, and collective.
Overall, pretty interesting final day, huh?
Yeah, we what was it, like 30 holes total we all watched? I mean, 8-9 hours of golf. It was a lot of golf. Could take 2 naps. I mean, honestly, it wasn't that crazy of a finish. Brooks sort of fell apart, and once John Rahm took a 2-stroke lead on the 9th hole, I believe, it was pretty much over. Brooks didn't really have it, and John Rahm did. I mean, what more can you really say? He just beat the field.
Yeah, it was. You mentioned naps. It was funny because I took a nap because I just, like, when there's golf on TV on a Sunday afternoon, like those naps, they just hit different. And I took a nap, and Spieth was 1 under, and I woke up, and he was 7 under.
Oh, yeah.
And like 3 back of the lead. I was like, whoa, wait a second. What just happened? So seeing him and Phil surge on that final day was pretty cool to see. But
Phil too. Spieth actually had the most birdies out of everyone on the field, but he had like the second or top 5 bogeys and top 5 double bogeys. So, that's Jordan Spieth.
Yeah,
He's a roller coaster.
I saw something that said, because Spieth and Phil were in a group together, right? And if you did like a best ball between the two of them, like if they were playing doubles and you just took, their best hole each time, they shot a combined 54 on that final round. Like it was just...
Yeah, they were definitely playing off each other, which is always fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, speaking of naps, I think we've officially made Rosie go to sleep talking about the Masters. So Rosie, let's bring you back in here.
Naps.
Odell Beckham finally signed with the Baltimore Ravens for 1 year, $18 million.
Some Amari Cooper money.
And Austin, you had to take that. Then Colin Cowherd decided to copy. Do you want to enlighten the listeners?
Yeah. So this is the equivalent of having a baby to save the marriage. So this was Baltimore saying, "Hail Mary, let's sign OBJ to bring Lamar Jackson back to the table." And so Colin Cowherd, my lawyers will be in touch soon.
We'll get our lawyer Craig on the case.
Yes.
Craig, get in there.
Rosie, what did you think about this Odell Beckham signing with the Ravens?
Yeah, what a big F you to Lamar Jackson. Yeah, we're not going to pay you, but we're going to pay this guy with 2 styrofoam kneecaps $18 million.
$9 million per kneecap. That's what I heard.
Prosthetics are expensive.
I mean, how is this guy getting more than like $3 million? I don't really understand. He's not good anymore. He hasn't been for what, 5-6 years?
Well, he flashed in that Super Bowl before he tore his ACL.
He still has the big play in him, which is what they'd be paying.
Well, no, we don't know.
Maybe
that
not
anymore.
now.
Well, no, not now, obviously. But I mean, even in the last 5-6 years, I mean, he could still make top 10 on any given day.
I think he's like,
as far as plays.
I think the thing with Odell Beckham is like he can't be your number 1 anymore, and that's what they're signing him to be in Baltimore, which I think is problematic. Like he did pretty well when he was with Los Angeles because they had Cooper Kupp. Like they weren't asking him to be the number 1 guy, so he kind of got to match up against the lesser cornerbacks on the other team, and he could get separation, and Sean McVay could scheme him open, but I feel like he's going to Baltimore to be their dude. That's a gamble I don't want to take.
Well, I just think the whole team's falling apart.
They got Bateman. I would say Bateman's better than him right now.
Yeah, I mean, it just really doesn't matter because they're not going to have a quarterback. Lamar's not going back there. So
you don't make anything of the social media?
They were
post or
FaceTiming.
whatever?
who was FaceTiming?
Lamar and right after
OBJ.
they announced it, they posted on Instagram. They were FaceTiming.
Lamar
each
looked like
other.
freaking pumped.
They had the emoji where he's peeking through his finger, oh, what's going on?
Oh my gosh. He's happy about it?
I,
Yes, this is a sports
Well,
podcast.
okay.
okay, so let's get on the record here. Does this Odell Beckham Jr. signing, does it change what you think is going to be the resolution of the Lamar Jackson saga? Or if you thought he was leaving, he's still leaving and nothing has changed?
I think he might stay on for the franchise tag year because, I mean, it's a 1-year deal with Odell. I mean, if he can't find what he's looking for and he wants to actually play with him for a year, I don't see why he wouldn't.
That's a good point.
I'm
That's
with you,
fair.
Alex.
Okay, so you said that. So, Alex, you're saying that this might actually make it more likely Lamar stays than beforehand.
Yeah, for at least 1 more year.
Okay. Austin, would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the whole 1-year deal thing, franchise tags, good money for him. So somebody's going to pay him.
Okay.
It's not going to be Baltimore. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think he's gone after this year. But
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, I think he realizes that nobody wanted him.
Which is weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
when he plays, he's statistically top 5.
Oh, yeah.
It's just when he plays.
So I still,
The numbers are there, Rosie.
well,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think Lamar is awesome.
Yeah.
But
MVP, you know.
I still think that the Lamar thing is going to get resolved after the draft. Like we
Yeah.
talked about this a few weeks ago, and I still think after the draft this year, you're going to see a team step in and put an offer sheet in front of him and then basically make Baltimore either commit to paying that or he's going to be playing for someone else.
Should be funny because then Odell's stuck with like Tyler Huntley or whoever they draft. It's like,
Yeah.
All right.
Which I've been hearing some
Baltimore.
rumblings that look out for Baltimore to potentially take
Levis?
a quarterback, which would be interesting to
Probably
say
a-
the least.
They need to go get like Duggan.
They should get Carson Wentz. He's still
Duggan.
out there.
I think
Maybe in like the fourth
I think-
round,
yeah,
sure.
I think people are stupid low on Duggan. I think Duggan's got potential.
It's like
Rosie, you
26.
mentioned
Oh,
Carson
Duggan.
Wentz.
Not Bennett.
So did you all see the whole Rudy Gobert stuff going over to the NBA for a sec where he swung at his teammate Kyle Anderson and now he's suspended for the play-in game this week against the Lakers?
Oh, Rudy.
So is it an official suspension?
Yeah, the team suspended
I
him
saw
for
that
the
he
play-in
wasn't-
game.
Okay, I saw that he wasn't traveling.
Yeah.
That report may have broken.
I saw
later.
someone ask who the NFL equivalent is of Rudy Gobert, and someone said Carson Wentz. And I thought, that's pretty good. Like a guy who you used to think highly of, he's kind of fallen from grace, and every team he's been on, teammates haven't really liked him, been crazy about him. I was like, that kind of tracks. So maybe Russell Wilson. I don't know. Russell Wilson or Carson Wentz.
Yeah, except Rudy Gobert. Russell Wilson has had a better career than Rudy Gobert.
I mean, Gobert has a handful of defensive player a year, and I mean, he's
No
got some
titles.
accolades.
No titles.
No titles. Russell Wilson has one.
Yeah, that's one more than Rudy Gobert.
Russell Wilson doesn't even have an MVP vote.
Facts. Gino
That is
does.
Gee,
Alex loves anytime we mention that in the podcast. He's like, "Oh, this is
Used
this
to
is my
hate it.
bread and butter."
Yeah.
All right.
the ultimate 180.
Anything else on the Odell Beckham stuff or any other NFL news?
I'm just really
Not
glad
really.
the Cowboys didn't end up with.
Yeah,
the
not for
Cooks
18
deal's
million.
looking way better now.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't Amari Cooper a free agent?
Is he?
I thought he had one
Right
more year.
now?
Oh, does he have one
Yeah.
more year?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he.
I would think that'd be more newsworthy if he was. Probably has one
Give
more
me
year.
a sec.
Okay, if he only has one more year.
Amari
saying is,
Cooper has. No, he has. I guess one more year because the previous
Right.
league year was 2023, right? Like they go off of when the Super Bowl was.
Super
So
Bowl was.
he's got one more year at
Okay, he's
$24
only
million
got
dollars, and then
Okay.
yeah,
That's a lot. Wow.
yeah. All right.
I've just heard that comparison a lot. Like for 18 million, you could have gotten that kind of receiver
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere
well,
else.
but I mean, Amari
No.
Cooper's. I just said what 24 million, so he's a little bit more,
a little more.
and he's significantly better than Odell
Significant.
Beckham.
Shoot, you could have for $18 million. You could have gotten much more.
Yeah. As Trent would say, he got famous off of one catch, and it's hard to disagree with that. So let's get to our fantasy football appetizer of the evening. The entree is coming up here in a little bit, but before we get to the bracket, we wanted to talk about the best fantasy stacks for 2023. So it could be a QB plus a wide receiver, it could be a QB plus a tight end. I think we can all think of the classic example here, but I've always kind of been a fan of this. I mean, a couple years ago, I won the 8-8 league because I had Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Ezekiel Elliott, and it was just a combined like 60 points each week from those three guys. So I think stacks can be very valuable, but you've got to get the right ones. You don't want to end up with, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a bad example. You don't want to get like, Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown, and then you're sitting there looking like a fool because they're both hurt, which they get hurt every year. So does anyone want to do us the honors and just state the most obvious kind of best stack, whether it's 2023, whether it's 2003? It seems like it doesn't matter because one of these guys just does not age.
Goff and Amon.
Mahomes and Kelce, it's listed one. I mean, until they're dethroned, yeah, it's them.
Could any of these other ones, because I agree with you, I think it's Mahomes and Kelce until you're proven wrong. Because it's like...
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's getting a little older, but like I said, until he shows some signs of decline, we're going to go with them.
I think there's one other like duo on this list that could maybe overthrow that,
Burrow Chase.
and it's Burrow Chase.
That's a nasty combo.
Yeah,
Filthy.
and they're in their primes, so
Mhm.
could definitely
I
see
think
it.
that's really the only one. Allen and Diggs. I mean,
It was
Great
fun
team.
while it lasted.
Yeah, I think Diggs is sort of tired. This is his last year in Buffalo.
So do y'all think? Okay, so y'all think the Allen Diggs like stack dominance is over? Like you wouldn't be banking
not-
on that this year?
No, it's not over. It's still probably top 5. It's just it's not at its
It's
prime
5.
like it was
Yeah.
a couple years. Like 2 years ago, it was probably 1 or 2. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like you're
Diggs-
really
you
not
think
going
it's-
out and getting like Diggs and Dynasty anymore, really, right?
No.
Yeah.
nah.
So
I
Rosie,
think
you
he's
said
starting to
it's
fall off.
fifth. I kind of thought whenever I was writing down these stacks, I kind of thought there were 3 at the top that were in a tier of their own, and I thought it was Mahomes, Kelce, Burrow, Chase, and Allen Diggs, and then I kind of had a second tier with the other ones I have listed. So you think you're lower on the Allen Diggs combo, which is surprising considering it's Josh Allen and it's you.
I honestly like the Kirk JJ combo and the Goff
Yeah.
Amon-Ra combo better than the
Well,
Allen Diggs combo.
Not the Goff on Raw, just because I don't know what's going to happen when J-Mo is playing.
Goff is gonna look like a god next year.
You like Kirk JJ over Allen Diggs?
Allen and Diggs.
Yeah. I mean, it was better last year. So
Still, you think Kirk's gonna be as
I
good
don't
as he
know
was
if you
last
can
year?
I think the defense in Minnesota is
Is it getting
so
better?
god awful. No, it's not getting better.
So
So Kirk is going to have to throw a whole lot, and he's going to be throwing a whole lot to Justin
I mean,
Jefferson.
New coordinator.
yeah, I just think he's probably due for a little decline at this point. He's getting up there.
Kirk?
Kirk, yeah.
Yeah,
but
maybe
JJ's
this is
like
like a
entering-
one more year thing.
JJ's like entering his prime though.
Since
Sure.
Trent's not on the podcast, I feel safe in saying
Yeah, let's just dunk
I
on
think the
Vikings.
Vikings might draft a quarterback.
I think Trent wants the
I think
Vikings
Trent
to
would
draft a
agree with
quarterback.
you. Yeah.
I think it's going to be
Anthony
Hendon Hooker, though.
Richardson?
No, I don't
Hendon
think they can get
Hooker?
that high.
Ooh, Hooker. I mean,
I would hate it, but
whoever gets Hooker might get a steal.
it's
he's
Teddy
trending up
Bridgewater,
right now.
too.
Teddy was good before he got hurt.
I feel like Hooker's better with his legs than Teddy though.
He just tore his ACL,
got a
so I'm not sure.
That's
And he's
fair.
got a way better arm. He's got a way better arm than Teddy too.
Swapping out Kirk Cousins for a Hooker is like the ultimate culture change in the locker
I
room.
mean, it wouldn't. Hooker would definitely be like at least a year project.
said
Teddy,
it.
all right,
Sit.
for all of Teddy Bridgewater is a Honda Civic.
He was reliable.
He's a
He'll get you
1997 Honda Civic at this
from-
point.
He
Let's
could
not
get you.
get
Yeah,
carried
so
away.
7 to
even
8
those
wins.
97 Honda Civics are starting to break down.
I'm gonna turn the ball over too much.
But there for a little bit.
The 97
down
Honda
Charlie.
Civic will take you from Dallas to Waco, but it won't make the drive all the way to San Antonio.
Right.
Yeah, you're not getting to South Padre Island.
No.
Mm-mm.
I can't go down and visit you down there in down by the coast, Austin, with a Honda
Yeah.
Civic.
A good old 6 hours from now.
Yeah. Okay, so Mahomes, Kelce, Burrow, Chase. Will we say those are kind of 1A, 1B? You can kind of take your flavor on the
Yeah.
best one, but no other duo is surpassing either of those two. Do we agree there?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
A couple we haven't mentioned: Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown. Do we
Yeah.
think that's sustainable based on the
If he
success
takes
they had
another
last
step
year?
up, if Hurts makes another jump as a passer, then yeah.
Which I don't think he will. I'm just not a Hurts guy as a
Really?
passer.
I really like what I saw in the Super Bowl. Like, I think he gets
Yeah.
a lot of flack for his passing game, but I didn't see many problems with it. Like, AJ Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, Hurts coming into his prime. I don't see why they can't take a step forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see it one more year, and I don't know if it's Cowboys fan in me, but I think the
I was gonna
Eagles
ask
season
about
this
that.
last year was more of a flash in the pan. But what were you gonna say, Austin?
But they got draft picks.
They do.
They got draft picks.
Draft picks. I mean, you gotta
Kelsey's coming back.
gotta
I
get
mean,
good
you're
players.
not
I was
going to improve
surprised-
that offense.
I was
That's the thing.
surprised you didn't throw the Dak CD in there for bait.
If
And I
Trent was
think
gonna
if
be on
Dak-
the podcast, I was gonna list it one just to get the reaction.
It's probably
I think it
better than
should be
Goff and
listed.
Amon.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah,
in
Gino
you.
and DK, Dak, and CD are probably the same level. It should be listed.
I'm really
I-
disappointed in your lack of Daniel Jones and Isaiah Hodgins. That's really what I'm disappointed.
That's
in.
true.
Who's Isaiah Hodgins?
Are you sure it's not gonna be Daniel Jones and Darren Waller?
Maybe
Daniel Jones and everyone.
if Darren
Daniel
Waller
Jones
is healthy.
sucks.
Well,
Honestly,
I like the mention of Dak and CD. I'll put them on
Saquon
there.
is the best receiver on that team. So
Daniel Jones sucks. I'm not getting off that ledge.
Okay, let's
Shut up, Alex.
Okay, which quarterback wide receiver stack do you think is going to produce the most fantasy points out of the NFC
The second
East?
tier. Oh,
out of
Cow-
the NFC East,
Dak and CD, Hurts and AJ Brown,
I think it's Hurts and AJ Brown.
Daniel Jones
Mm,
and the
I
guy
think
at
it's
the
Dak.
Walmart greeter. Or Sam Howell and Terry McLaurin.
Ooh.
Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, easily.
Sam
No, I
Howell
think
and Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson.
Ah, there he is.
Ooh, Hudson's in the chat, and he said that Hurts and Brown are better than Burrow and Chase. I don't think so,
Ooh,
Hudson.
I don't buy that.
That's a massive.
That's bait.
leap.
I think that is bait.
Honestly, what's he do? Let's invite him in. I want to hear this. That-
Put him on the
That's a lot.
phone. Put him up to the mic.
No,
Let's
he
do
needs to be our
Let's-
tiebreaker.
Yeah, let's call him.
Yeah,
Hudson,
Hudson,
will you
stick
stay
around
on?
for the bracket. You'll be the tiebreaker.
Get him on the
'cause there's just four of
Firegrounds
us.
hotline.
I like it.
Fire
I like it.
that's gonna take some extra percentages from just to name the hotline and some communication.
Hey,
on
save
your
it for the negotiating table, okay? Are there any stats
The
that we
IV
didn't
line.
mention?
Sorry.
the IV line.
Don't spoil it. Hold on. We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh.
Actually, I'm
Who's
gonna mention
the-
it. I'm gonna mention it in the intro, but we'll do the first official read here in a few
The
minutes.
IV line. That's genius.
I like it. That is really good. Are there any stacks we didn't mention? So we got Mahomes, Kelce, Burrow, Chase, Allen, Diggs, Hurts, AJ Brown, Kirk, JJ, Goff, Amon-Ra, Gino, DK, Dak, CD. I mean, like, can you do a wide receiver stack and just say, give me Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and I don't care who the quarterback is?
Maybe.
Facts.
In theory, yeah, but it's Tua.
I know, but like if we're just going like two teammates stack, like just give me give me the two Miami pass catchers, and I don't want Tua. Just give me Waddle and Hill, and I'm happy.
Yeah, pure athlete stance.
Are we
Yeah,
gonna do
definitely.
like Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson?
Ooh, I kind of like that though. Actually,
Yeah,
See,
Is that even gonna happen, dude? Like,
maybe
it'll happen. They're talking about it.
it's gonna
taking
happen.
forever.
so I thought about that.
Yeah, probably after the draft.
Justin Fields and Chase Claypool.
My reservation. No, Justin Fields and DJ Moore. Come on.
Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley.
That's a spicy one.
Would it be Calvin Ridley
sleeper.
or
That's a
would it
sleeper.
be
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk?
Yeah, I think
Calvin Ridley
Kirk is
before he got
fine, but
bumped
not.
up. I mean, Calvin
See
Ridley
that, but that was kind of the reason why I didn't put Rodgers and Garrett Wilson on there. Is like I don't know who Rodgers is going to be throwing to.
It's going to be Garrett Wilson.
Are you sure it's not going to be Alan Lazard?
Was it Alan Lazard last year?
Yes.
No, it was Christian Watson last year.
Christian
Christian
Watson.
Watson for the
No, no,
second
no,
half
no,
of the
no.
year.
Christian
I
Watson
had
Christian
got
Watson in
like
the
no.
end zone.
I had Lazard last year. He wasn't a great fantasy receiver, but he was top 20.
Christian Watson was a better fantasy receiver than Lazard was last year.
Christian Watson got like 6 touchdowns on 7 touches. Like that's
Exactly. And
Touchdowns
Garrett
are so-
Wilson is like a billion times better than Christian Watson. So I
Touchdowns are
think
so fluky though. You can't like base.
I'm not, but I mean, look at what Lazard did. He didn't do much.
Okay.
Didn't
Really,
Watson score some of his touchdowns rushing? Okay, he had 1 rushing touchdown. Yeah, like he had, let's see, against Dallas, he had 4 receptions for 3 touchdowns.
Playmaker.
Okay. Alan
Okay.
Lazard was wide receiver number 35 last year. Watson was 41.
What about? Here's an interesting.
He got
one.
hurt though.
There we go.
There's
What
the
about-
excuses.
Where would y'all put? Where would y'all put like Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen?
Yeah. I don't
That was
know.
another one I
Keenan's
left
got
off
it.
because I just
Keenan
don't
Allen
know
was
who
hurt
Herbert.
last year.
Keenan Allen's always hurt. So
Yeah. Also, Mike Williams had equal number of touchdowns and 100 more yards than Keenan Allen
Yep.
last year. I mean, if
They
you're,
have Kellen
if you're
Moore,
the
so
Chargers,
whichever receiver is better at running bubble screens, then I'll say
think the
pair them
Chargers
with
got a-
Justin Herbert.
Chargers got a draft receiver this year.
I think
Yep.
so.
Josh Downs.
I saw a report today that said that a lot of the NFL front offices are not as high on this wide receiver class as the media is. And the only one that they have
Last
first round
year's
grades
was
on
insane.
is Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, is the media even high on this wide receiver class?
No, I don't feel like they are.
I
at
feel like a
all.
lot of the I feel like a lot of the mocks are having
Last
4 or
year's was
5 taken in the
ridiculous.
first round.
Yeah.
I mean, next year you're gonna have a good amount, probably. You know what, Marvin Harrison Jones Jr. or Marvin
Oh.
Harrison Jr.
Ooh, Hudson just gave another one. Will Levis and Devontae Adams.
Oh, I'd be so pumped. Oh my gosh.
That's wish casting, Hudson, but I like it. I like it. All right. Do we
Maybe
want to
Sam
get to the main
Darnold.
event?
Oh yeah.
Sam Darnold and Brandon Ayuk and book it.
All right. When we come back, we're doing some more fantasy. We are going to be doing the bracket of the worst kind of fantasy league mates. We've got 16 different people. You all know the type. We've got a bracket. We're going to figure out the champion, the worst kind of fantasy league mate of them all. And that's all coming up right after this. But before we get to that, Rosie mentioned it earlier. We've got a new sponsor here at Making the Call. New sponsor. And it is
Somebody
Liquid
be in the
IV.
background.
Liquid IV. So one of the things that I've always prioritized with my health and well-being is hydration. And the best way to step up your hydration game is with Liquid IV. If you've been watching on the Twitch stream, you can see that as we've been recording this episode, I've just been slowly sipping this passion fruit flavored hydration multiplier from Liquid IV. Not only has it been hydrating me, but it also tastes great. In fact, 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. Liquid IV has 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks and comes in 12 delicious flavors. Go try Liquid IV today. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use promo code MTC at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MTC at liquidiv.com. All right, we got the fantasy brackets all coming up right after this. All right, coming back, the main event, we've got a bracket. I know March Madness is over, but that doesn't mean that brackets have to be over. And this was kind of inspired from a prior episode of the Ryan Russillo podcast where they did a bracket of the worst type of dudes. and it was like the guy who always is giving out stock tips, the guy who always roots against your bets. It was fantastic. And I thought, okay, I like that idea, but let's do the worst type of fantasy league mates, the worst traits in a fantasy league mate. So we've got a bracket of 16. We've got the 1 seeds in each region all the way down to 4 seeds. We're going to go through first round all the way through the champion. We're going to start the way that you should always start brackets, which is top left. We're going to go down the left side and then go top right, work our way down the right side. You guys get the gist.
We're not watching here.
If you're watching on Twitch, or we haven't done a formal announcement about this, but if you go to the Making the Call YouTube, we'll upload the full video podcast for this week's episode, and you can watch along there as well. Just search Making the Call on YouTube. We'll put a link in the show notes to that as well, so it'll be nice and easy for you to find that and subscribe. But we'll have that up. But if you're watching on Twitch, you'll see it as we go through this. We'll use the Twitch chat as a potential tiebreaker because there's only 4 of us here. I wanted to give the disclaimer. Sorry, I'm getting all this out before we get started. Trent is not affiliated with this segment in any way. He did not come up with any of these traits. None of these were inspired by inputs from him. So if you think any of these traits are about you, come talk to one of the 4 of us. Come talk to me, Rosie, Austin, or Alex. Trent has nothing to do with it.
And it probably is
No.
Isn't it?
Don't get your feelings hurt, okay? Let's all be big boys.
What is it at the end credits? They're like all characters in this film are fictional. Any resemblance or anything like that?
Exactly.
It's really coincidental.
All
No
discussion
league
about
mates
this
were
bracket.
harmed in the making of this bracket.
So
It's all just fun and games. We're having fun.
Unless you're the worst of the worst that we.
Trent
know
wanted
of.
me to say that. He's
Yeah,
not
then-
involved with this. He's not putting his name on this bracket. It's the 4 of us. All right, let's do this. Top left. We'll go big screen on the stream here. We've got the 1 seed, the used car salesman. This is the guy. We all know the type. Makes a paragraph-long pitch for the 4th wide receiver on his roster and why you'd be crazy not to trade for him. This is the guy who he sends you a trade, and you're like, I'm not feeling that. He's like, no, let me tell you about this guy. I heard from sources that he's about to move up the depth chart, and you got to trade for him now before it's too late. He's just always making the pitch.
And he never tells you what the sources are.
Exactly. Just
You're like,
trust
I
me,
just
bro.
heard. Trust me.
Just ignore him.
Yeah. So we got that as the 1 seed going up against the 4 seed, which we are calling this the BFF. Rosie, you want to explain this one?
Yeah, this one is the guy that only trades with his best friend in the league. He doesn't trade with anyone else, and usually it's a pretty crappy trade. Usually in favor of the guy he's trading with.
So he shows favoritism. He's not surveying the entire league. He's only looking at his buddy.
That's
so
correct.
used car salesman versus BFFs. We got a 1 seed versus 4 seed.
We want to just decide and then go down. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're picking the matchup. I'm gonna go with the used car salesman because those conversations are usually a lot longer and they annoy me. So,
Yeah.
point
It's
for used car salesman.
It's the guy who's like trying to get your 2nd round pick for Cedric Wilson, and you're like, dude, just leave me alone. He's like, no, man, Cedric Wilson is gonna have a breakout year. Trust me, this is a fair trade. I'm doing
If
you a
Jalen
favor.
Waddle gets hurt,
Exactly. All right, I'm going with used car salesman too. So that's 2.
All right, me too.
Me 3.
Okay.
Me 4.
All right, clean sweep for the used car salesman.
don't be the BFF guy, but really don't be the used car salesman.
Yeah,
Please.
perfect. All right, so then we got the 2 seed. We're calling this the Dwight Schrute, and I got a sound effect for this. See if this will help you figure out what we're talking about.
3, 2, 1,
Can I
5,
think about it?
4, 3, 2.
Let me think about it.
Now,
Think about
say it. Do it
I'm
now.
thinking about
Do
it.
it now.
Thinking.
Do it. Shake my hand. You will sell me this car. Shake my hand.
All right, this is the guy who will not take no for an answer.
Classic.
He sends you a trade. You're like, no, man. And then he's like, okay, but what about this? And you're like, no.
Counter. No.
It's like
Another counter.
you've got Justin Jefferson, and I had Justin Jefferson in the 8-8 league, and Trent would send me a trade like on a weekly basis. Not actually, but I knew he really wanted Justin Jefferson. It wasn't that bad, but I'm like, no, I'm not trading him. So this is
Hey,
the
tell
Dwight
everybody,
Schrute.
tell
But
everybody
then
how
you traded
that.
him.
Tell everybody how that worked out.
I ended up trading him.
Be
Hey,
Dwight
It
Schrute.
works.
Dwight
To
Schrute
Dwight
ended
Schrute.
up getting the car, so
This is true.
it worked. No, he actually didn't. He didn't send me that many requests for him, but I knew that he wanted. It was like before I traded for
Yeah, he
CeeDee
did.
Lamb in that league, I was peppering the guy who has CeeDee Lamb with trades constantly. Like I was Dwight Schrute for CeeDee Lamb. So we have that as a 2 seed going up
that guy
against the
was.
3 seed, which we are calling needs a Snickers. This is the guy who is never satisfied with a trade. You send him a trade, you guys discuss terms, you're about ready to accept, and he's like, oh, hey, throw in a 4th round pick too. He's always countering for one more asset. And you're like, dude, this was a done deal. Just accept it and move on. He's never satisfied.
I really want to say a name, but I'm not going
Nope. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's the rules.
Yeah.
Is it me? Is it me, Jesus?
to. No, it's not you. I would have said it if it was you.
So we have the 2 seed Dwight Schrute versus the
Here
3
I
seed
am.
needs a Snickers. Who are we going with?
3 seed. I deal with that guy too much.
Yeah, I've seen more need a Snickers guy.
See, to me, like it rates like so. Whenever I try and trade with this person, which one annoys me the most? And for me, it's like so. I eventually traded Drake London, but
You
like,
idiot.
I was an idiot. I was
Thank you.
gunning for the win. I was gunning for the win.
Why don't you tell him the full details of that trade?
No,
No, I'll puke on camera.
was it Chubb and Adams for Olave and London?
It sure
Yeah.
was.
Gosh, I was trying to, you know, and if the
Win now
championship had
mode?
been,
Yeah.
if I was in win now mode, and if it was the next week, I would have won the league. But it is what it is. Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with the Dwight Schrute because the notifications that you get from Dwight Schrute are progressively later and later in the night when I'm trying to go to bed, and they still want to talk about the trade for that guy. So it annoys me.
That's when you hit the sleep
All right, so
button.
that's 2 for Snickers and 1 for Dwight Schrute. I'll go with Snickers here. Let's have our first upset of the bracket. 3 seed upsetting a 2 seed.
It's madness.
All right. This is April, as they say.
This is
Going back down to the bottom region, we've got the 1 seed, the trade calculator. This is the guy who constantly sends you 4 quarters for a dollar trade, where he goes on, he Googles Dynasty Trade Calculator, clicks on the first link, and he figures out how many of his bench players he could put in the trade that would equal the same amount of points as Justin Jefferson. And then he sends you the trade, and he's flabbergasted when you decline it. We've all dealt with this before.
I've been that guy.
I mean,
Yeah, same.
it can get worse than that, though. What I hate about the trade calculator guy is you're vibing and you're getting this trade. You're like a couple more, tweaks away from getting it done. And then they go, oh, actually, I just pulled up the trade calculator and I want more.
You're just like, goodbye.
Yep.
So this one has multiple meanings. So trade calculator versus the 4 seed Brexit. Austin, you want to explain this one?
So Brexit. So it's the end of the league year, and there's this one guy who's just ticked off, and he's just like, "You guys are doing this and that, and this league is stupid, and I'm gonna leave." And he threatens to leave every year. Sometimes he'll leave and come back, but I mean, it's always a fight with this guy. And you're like, oh, here we go again. So that's the Brexit guy.
These should both be 1 seeds.
Is the
Tough
Brexit
matchup.
underseeded here?
I think the Brexit is
so.
a massively underseeded.
Okay, well, it's either going to face the trade calculator now or it's going to face it in the next round if we were to change the seed. So it's just kind of delaying the inevitable,
Yeah.
Alex, any thoughts? Trade calculator or Brexit? I mean, which one of these are you most annoyed with to deal with in a fantasy league?
I'll go with the upset. I'll go with Brexit just because that guy could really just screw up the whole league because he wants to leave, and then you got to find somebody else. It's just a big hassle.
You tell Hudson to stop naming names in the chat.
It's okay.
So we have a vote for Brexit.
I'm going to go for Brexit too because that annoys me.
See, if your leagues are set up right, though, you're not going to deal with a lot of Brexit people.
You were a Brexit person.
Well, my thing is like if they leave, it's like it's annoying.
Rosie
but
was
you
that
get
guy.
someone to replace them and you move on.
He's back.
Exactly.
He's back. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back in the league.
Are you going with? So what are you going with, Rosie?
I'm going trade calculator, dude. I deal with these
Okay, I'm going
dudes
with
way too much.
trade calculator too. So Hudson, you're in the chat. We need the tiebreaker. Trade calculator versus Brexit.
We'll move on while the delay.
I don't know. I think the trade calculator, like it encompasses. I feel like we've all done
Especially
it.
that first year in the 8-8 league.
I've never really dealt with somebody with a trade calculator lately. It's
Trade calculator it is.
Oh, we
There
got
you
the
go,
vote
Hudson.
from Hudson.
Brexit put up a fight.
I mean, I've done it. Like I remember when I
Make
first
the free
discovered
throws.
it, I was constantly going in there, be like, okay, how could I trade for so and so? Okay, I need to include these.
I would
these
text
people.
you to calculate things for me.
That's true. Because you knew I worked
Like,
at
shut
TI,
up,
and you're
nerd.
like, hey, he makes calculators. He got this.
Yeah.
All right. The 2 seed. We're calling this one Interstellar. I was going to call it Those Are Mountains, They're Waves, but it was too much to fit in the little block on the bracket. This is a guy who uses up all of his time in a 4-hour rookie draft where you get 4 hours per pick. And we called it Interstellar because it's like they go down on the planet with the wave and they come back up and they see the guy who stayed up with the ship and he's aged like 30 years. And he's like, I thought you'd never return. It's like you're sitting there, you're watching, you go into the draft room and you're watching the clock tick and you're like, oh, and you're waiting for that little green circle next to his name to show that he's in the room. And you're like, he's never going to come in.
Or worse, he is in the room and he says the words, if anyone wants to trade for this pick, let me know.
Is this a bad time to mention that I've never seen Interstellar?
You've never seen Interstellar?
It's
Great
on
movie.
my
Certified
list.
Rosie, great movie.
I love Nolan,
You're gonna cry.
but yeah, no, it's just I haven't gotten around to it.
Dude.
And Inception is
Awesome
like my favorite movie
soundtrack,
of all
too.
time. So I've heard it's in the same vibe.
Never watched Inception.
Austin, you've got
Whoa.
Inception is the goat.
Inception, yeah.
For me. It goes
Interstellar
I
is
don't wanna
better
get-
than Inception.
I don't want to
No.
be confused, man. Like every time I'm about to click play, I'm like, I don't know, man. I really don't know.
dude.
Too high for this.
So like Tenet was too confusing for me as far as like.
I never
Christopher
saw
Nolan
Tenet.
movie. Tenet was really good. It was like Inception, but like on confusion steroids. It was like Inception on LSD.
Well, Austin, you have homework. You have to watch Inception by
No.
Interstellar.
You have to watch Interstellar.
or Interstellar. You have to watch Interstellar by the draft by April 27th.
We're gonna recap Interstellar.
You got 17 days.
We should debate Christopher Nolan movies. That's what we should do. That should be a segment. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
Great
that can be an
director.
off-season. Well, we're in
Great
the off-season.
director.
Yeah.
We are.
So we've got 2-seed Interstellar going up against the 3-seed The Eraser. This is a guy who sends a trade and then immediately rescinds it. And then it's usually before you even get a chance to look at it. And so you've got the little sleeper notification that says so-and-so proposed a trade with you. And then you go in and it's all empty. And you're like, what happened
Usually
here?
before you wake up.
Yeah, it's usually late at night.
Yeah.
But
No, I get that guy, though, because everybody regrets their decisions
This
sometimes.
guy shouldn't have made the bracket. It's really not that annoying.
He sent you the trade request while he was drunk. And then he sobered up and he was like, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, he had a second thought. It
Good
happened.
for him.
he said Devontae
I've
Adams
definitely-
and Nick Chubb for Chris Olave and Drake London. I would never.
I would never. This guy has
Ew.
commitment issues. So,
All right, so are we moving Interstellar on in this case then?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
Unanimous.
That dude's
It's-
stuck. That dude sucks.
Interstellar has finals potential here.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
If Ivan, the left side of the bracket is stacked.
I feel like
Here
for
we
the most
go.
part we did pretty good with this.
I'm
So I'm
ready.
curious to see how it shakes out.
I'm ready to.
All right, going over to the top right side of the bracket. We've got the 1 seed, the pawn shop guy. This is the guy who values his players way too high, or he doesn't understand the value of a draft pick. His valuations are way off. Like you can't really trade with him because you try to trade for Christian Kirk, and he's like, okay, well the starting price is
1.05.
Cooper Cup, and then we can talk. And you're like, dude, come on, be reasonable. So he's a pawn shop guy. Any other thoughts or comments on this seed?
you can get some really good deals on the pawn shop guy if you're just persistent, because he's gonna slip up. He's gonna
If he's
trade
like,
you.
if he's Chum Lee instead of Rick, then you can take
Yeah,
advantage.
He's just a little bored. Like, all right, let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. Yeah.
Best I can do is $5.
I like it.
All right.
So we have that as a 1 seed going up against a 4 seed. Work smarter, not harder. This is a guy who wants you to do the trades for him. He asks you what your price is without actually sending you a trade first. He's like, "Hey, how do you value Devontae Adams?" And then he wants you to figure out all the terms. And it's like, "No, dude, send me a trade for Devontae Adams and then let's talk." So we have
All
that
right,
as a
in
4
their
seed.
defense, we mean well. Like, we want to be active. We just don't want to think about it.
So this is Austin.
Yeah. I literally told somebody to work smarter, not harder today. So,
Yeah, Austin will be like, "So let's say I wanted to trade for Lamar Jackson. Like, what would it take to get him?"
I'm going to call it like big brain. This is the big brain.
Well, and then they take it one step further. Like you're like, okay, fine, I'll do the work. I'll, get the terms ready. And they're like, that's ridiculous.
That's trash.
Like, okay, well then send me something, please.
Yeah. Contribute to this group project a little bit. Don't just slap your name on it and collect your A, okay? All right, so 1 seed pawn shop guy versus work smarter, not harder. Who are we taking?
Work smarter, not harder. I can't deal with them.
Pawn shop.
You go first, Andrew.
I'm going pawn shop because when a guy doesn't know how to value his players, it's like you can't get anything done.
Yeah, I'll lean pawn shop. I would number 4 seed. It's a good seed, but pawn shop just by the nose.
Good game.
We've nailed these guys. They're good.
We've only had one upset, and it was a 3 versus 2, so not even an upset.
Here's
all
another
right,
3 versus 2.
2 seed, calling this a DiCaprio. This is the guy who overrates age. He just wants all the young players. Once they hit 25, he says, "Nope,
Yep.
see you later."
Too old.
That's all my running backs right now.
24-year-old running back is the new senior. As in AARP, not
Yeah.
in college.
So I feel like you run into this a lot more in Dynasty because I think people tend to overrate.
Young guys.
Like,
The youngins.
yeah, where they're like, well, if I'm going to have this guy for the next decade, it's like, well, can you worry about like the next couple years first, buddy?
Jeez. A decade in a fantasy league. Wow.
Yeah. So we have that, and then we have the 3 seed Mission Impossible, which we're calling this. This is just the guy. It can mean a whole lot of different things. He's just impossible to trade with, for whatever reason. You go on to Sleeper and you click on trade, and it shows all the different rosters in your league. You just skip over his name every single time. You don't even bother looking at who he has. You're like, I'm not even going to attempt to trade with him.
They'll be the guy that like is active in the way that they put guys on the trade block, but then you send in something and it's just no counter, no nothing, just deny.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, that's kind of me too.
All right.
I don't really feel like countering.
So going back to the bracket, so we've got Mission Impossible versus the DiCaprio. What are our votes?
Give me Tom Cruise here.
Yeah.
2 for Tom Cruise.
I'll go DiCaprio.
Boom, 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 boom.
I'll go with Tom Cruise here. Yeah.
Another upset.
The 2 seeds are fraudulent in this bracket.
Whoa.
All right.
Just call them the Vikings.
Moving on to the bottom region, still in the first round. We've got the 1 seed, the Ghost. This is the guy who you're not even sure if they even have the app downloaded on their phone. They rarely set their lineups. They never respond to trades. They're never in the chat. They're just
Corey. We can name Corey.
they're never there. Going up against the 4 seed.
Hey, if I had Corey's team, though.
Corey's a soccer fan. We'll give him a break.
Going up against the 4 seed, we're calling this I'm Just Lucky, or I'm Just Unlucky. It's a guy who's constantly complaining about the points against each week. for his team. He's like, well, man, I would have won if Jamar Chase didn't catch those 3 touchdowns. It's like, dude, that's how fantasy goes, man.
He's the biggest advocate for the 2-point system.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Which, hey, we got that pass in 8 and 8. How about that?
We did. I'm excited.
He's always complaining about how the other team did against him. And I think on the flip side, he's also always complaining about like his players laying an egg. He's like, well, I didn't expect Joe Mixon to get 18 yards. It's like, well,
18 yards. What?
I don't know what to tell you, big guy.
Christian Watson had 2 touchdowns, and he was on my taxi squad.
Exactly. That's
me.
a good one. All right, the ghost versus I'm just unlucky.
It's the ghost.
It's the ghost.
It's the ghost.
Yeah.
Just book
Ghost
him to
by a
just
mile.
move him all the way over.
Yeah, it's the ghost.
Can't deal with that guy.
All right, then we have the 2 seed. We're calling this the feeler. This is the guy who just sends crappy trade offers and says, hey, man, I was just sending out a feeler. It's like, I'm just gauging your interest. He's like, could I interest you in a Stephon Diggs for Noah Brown trade? And you're like, are you out of your mind? You're like, hey, man, I'm just sending out a feeler. No hard
So
feelings.
is this guy a step above or below the work smarter, not harder guy? I know they're not matched up, and they probably won't be. So
I think he's worse because it's like consulting. Like he'll send you a trade and it'll be like, I don't know, 2
but
up
at
for
least
Mahomes.
at least he sent one.
Yeah, but it's not even like a framework you can work off of. Like I'd almost rather have a guy be like, hey, how do you value Lamar?
So would you rather somebody just punch the heart next to the player's name and say they're interested in them than like send you a feeler?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, at least make a trade that, if you were in my shoes, you could see you accepting.
Agreed.
It has to be at least on the horizon.
It's got to be ballpark,
Yeah, these are the trades that aren't even like in the same stratosphere as
or
something
at
you
least
would accept.
it's got to at least be in the parking lot.
Like they're sending you like, especially in light of recent news, they're sending you like Joe Mixon for Brees Hall. And you're like, dude, get out of here. What are you doing?
Lord.
So,
I heard Joe Mixon lights up the stat sheet. So.
all right. So we have that as a feeler versus the 3 seed, the fire sale. It's just he's constantly putting his entire roster on the trade block.
You see that notification,
And
and
it's
you
the
think it's a
notification.
trade, and it's just another trade block.
Well, and you see that notification, and you know there's going to be 13 more to follow because he's
Right
just going
after the
through and
start.
tapping all the buttons.
Right after the start of the league year, I just remember you remember that day?
When everyone did it?
Everybody did it at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes.
It was the worst.
Yeah. So we have that as a 3 seed. So what do we think? We've got the 2 seed Fueler versus 3 seed Fire Sale.
This is the weakest matchup we've had.
Yeah, I don't know. The ghost is winning.
I'm going with the Feeler here. I think it's so obnoxious when I get those trade requests.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm gonna
We'll go
give
for
Fire
it.
Sale the token vote just because the dings are annoying.
That's
Okay.
facts.
So all 4 1 seeds advance, 2 seeds, and 2 3 seeds. So going back up to the top left, we've got the 1 seed used car salesman versus 3 seed need a Snickers. Just to refresh your memory, used car salesman is a guy he's making a pitch on everything. He gives you the paragraph for the 4th wide receiver on his roster versus needs a Snicker. He's never satisfied with a trade. He always wants to add one more piece at the 11th hour. It's like, dude, just hit accept. It's good enough. You don't need the 2025 4th round pick. I promise you. It's fine. What do we think? Used car salesman versus needs a Snickers.
I can deal with a guy wanting another 4th just to get a trade done. Because at least a trade's getting done.
Yeah? So you say used car salesman's worse?
Yeah. Because I'm not trading with that guy. I don't like talking to him.
I don't want to be his friend.
Yeah, Rosie, I'm with you. Let's go use.
If I see him on the street, it's on site.
Moving forward.
It's on
Used car
site.
sale. Ooh, it's on sale.
What do you think, Alex?
Used car salesman.
Yeah?
Moving forward.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go down to the bottom region. We've got the 1 seed trade calculator.
You said bottom region.
Bikini Bottom. 1 seed trade calculator versus the 2 seed Interstellar. Trade calculator is a guy who constantly sends you the 4 quarters for $1. He just gets all those crappy pieces, puts them in a trade calculator, figures out how many points they equal to get, Cooper Kupp, and then sends you the trade. Versus Interstellar, the guy who takes his entire 4 hours in the slow-mo rookie draft.
So the trade calculator guy, you can just tell no and put on do not disturb. The Interstellar guy, you are at his complete and utter mercy.
You only gotta deal with him once a year, though. You gotta deal with the trade calculator guy.
But you have to
all
deal with
year
him for
long.
a total of 16 hours in the draft.
Let's do something else. I don't know.
I think the Interstellar is worse.
Get a life.
This is a heavyweight matchup.
It is. And I think that's a fair point. And keep in mind, this is a heavyweight matchup after we already lost Brexit in the first round. I think this was the region of death. This one had all the heavyweights.
All the blue bloods were in here.
All the blue bloods. The Interstellar guy, though, how frustrating it is when you're doing the rookie draft. And let's say the guy has the 6th pick and he finally picks and then picks 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all happen back to back to back. Everyone is locked and loaded. They've got their queue set and they just make their drafts to try and get to the other side of the snake so that the guy who's holding up the draft can pick again and then we can keep it moving. And then they do all their work. They get all their picks done immediately. And then he sits for another 4 hours and you're like, you're kidding me, guy. It's so defeating.
There is a special place in hell for this individual.
What?
Because I've been in drafts like that where I'm texting with the other guys who are
It
going to be
happened in
after him.
Buenas.
What is?
Not naming names, but you're
happened.
texting with the other guys who are after him and you're like, hey man, just want to make sure you're ready to go as soon as he drafts so that we can keep this thing moving. And then you knock out 10 picks in 30 seconds and then he's already out. He's already gone. And you're like, oh my gosh.
In Buenas, I made a pick on a plane as soon as we touched down. And this guy doesn't even have the courtesy. He's just on his couch.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I thought the trade calculator was strong, but I think I got to go Interstellar.
It's the worst.
I gotta go trade calculator. That dude sucks to deal with.
I'm going Interstellar.
Yes.
All right, the upset, baby.
Dang it.
This
I'm in a draft with Hudson and he's got 4 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks, and he just said he's going to do that with all of his picks this year.
all 15.
So I'm not excited about that.
Jeez, Hudson, how bad does your team suck for you to get 15 picks?
Yeah, get wrecked.
All right, so Interstellar moves on, going to the top right. We've got the 1 seed Pawn Shop guy versus 3 seed Mission Impossible. Pawn Shop is he doesn't know how to value players, doesn't know how to value draft picks. It's brutal trying to trade with him. Whereas Mission Impossible, you just know you can't trade with him.
This is the same guy.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. So Pawn
I
Shop.
feel like number 3 is all encompassing, including Pawn Shop. So just impossible to trade with as a whole, I feel like should move forward.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to go to number 3 here. I
Alex?
think I'm going to pick another upset.
What are we? Pawn shop or?
Actually, let me re-engage here.
I'll go Mission Impossible with the upset.
All right, 2 for Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I'll go Mission Impossible also.
It's a clean sweep then. My goodness.
Ooh.
3 seed going to the Final Four. Cinderella story.
All right,
right.
it should be easy.
1 seed the Ghost versus
Yes.
2 seed the Feeler. It's the Ghost. I mean, what are we doing?
It's the Ghost. Just go ahead and put the Ghost.
You were
the
in a
finals.
league for a reason.
Moving on.
Why are you
Michael
even
Blumen.
paying the league dues every year?
This is the one where it's really hard to not name names.
Nope, don't do it.
He's not listening.
I'll just say this: if we're doing that was funny, Rosie.
He's not.
If we're doing this bracket and you're
He doesn't have
listening to
Twitch
it,
downloaded.
and you're like, "Is this about me?" Maybe just look for some ways to improve over the next year. I mean,
It's not
life is all
personal.
about trying to improve and be a better person.
If you feel this conviction in your heart, you think, is this the Holy Spirit? It is.
And
the Holy Spirit
also,
wants
if
to
you have
change.
been personally affected by any of these individuals, you might be entitled to financial compensation.
Hey.
Hey,
All right.
mesothelioma is not a joke, Andrew.
Hey, you said it, not me. Final four. We got the 1 seed used car salesman versus the 2 seed Interstellar. I don't even know where to go with this.
So the used car salesman is another version of the trade calculator guy. Because they both.
Not really.
He's looking for deals, though.
Because the used car salesman will also do the inverse, right? Like, he'll try and get, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a nice young player, like Javonte Williams from you. And he'll send you some like low ball offer for Javonte Williams. And you're like, no, man, I'm really high on him. That's not going to fly. He's like, dude, you don't want Javonte Williams. He's coming off an injury. He's been handcuffed his whole career. Like, no, I'm doing you a favor by taking Javonte Williams off your hands. So it's not just him trying to sell his guys. It's him trying to like convince you to make a bad trade for one of your prime players. Like, I think it's both.
That's true.
So you have that versus Interstellar. We've already explained that one.
I just really hate the Interstellar guy.
I do too, but
I think this is the Gonzaga side of the bracket. The Baylor side of the bracket is gonna just shellac this.
Well, I don't know. We have the Ghost on the other side. I mean, that's
why. So this is the
And Mission Impossible.
This is the Gonzaga side. That's the one we're talking about.
Okay, so
I'm
who are you
taking
going with?
Interstellar.
Baylor killed Gonzaga.
I can deal with the car salesman. At least he's trying. I don't know.
Yeah, I sort of agree with Rosie. Like, you can just decline the car salesman. Interstellar might be a little bit more annoying.
Yeah, you have no power over the Interstellar guy.
Okay, so we have 3 for Interstellar.
I think so.
All right. Well, I was going to go used car salesman. So there you go. All right. Other side of the bracket. 3 seed Mission Impossible versus 1 seed The Ghost. I think it's The Ghost.
It is.
Can I pitch Mission Impossible then?
Sure. Please make the case. Make
Great
the case.
franchise.
Because at least with the Ghost, you can maybe eventually get him out of the league. You can be like, hey man, do you actually want to like be here? With Mission Impossible guy, you know that he is active. You know that he is putting guys on the trade block, but it's just not going to happen, and you're never going to know why.
That's fair.
That's a good.
The Mission Impossible guy might end up being the Brexit guy, though. Like, he has that type of personality where he could take himself out.
I've been in a few leagues where there is no inkling of this guy leaving. He will pay his dues. He will just never make a trade.
That's a good point because you're right. I mean, the Ghost, like one of the more frustrating parts is like he won't set his lineup. And usually if a guy doesn't do that, then you end up kicking him out after the end of the year.
So what about the Ghost that sets his lineup and that's it, though?
I don't know if he's truly a ghost. I think he's just kind of in purgatory, like
Like
he's
a
not,
ghost.
He's not fully into the supernatural world.
Don't go Catholic on me, Andrew.
I would never. Don't you worry.
He's like Davy Jones' Locker. That's where he's at.
Yeah. Speaking of good movies, so I can't. This is like picking between your kids. Like I can't
The first
pick
3.
between Mission Impossible and The Ghost.
You don't have kids. there are days that you can pick.
It's like picking between your least favorite kids.
I'm just kidding.
Annie, come here.
Disclaimer: I love my kids equally. I need to say that publicly.
I think I'm going with Mission Impossible.
Did I sway you?
I think you did.
I think we should make Hudson pick, so I'm going Ghost.
Yeah, I'm Ghost too, so 2-2.
All right, Hudson.
Hudson, this is for a spot in the finals, dude.
Hudson.
Mission Impossible versus the Ghost.
Is Hudson still watching?
I think he is.
He's been
But
pretty
there's
dedicated
always
in
like
this
a
chat.
little bit of a delay on Twitch. So I'm curious who he's gonna pick because I mean I was like hellbent on picking the Ghost, and then Rosie made his case, and I was like, oh shoot, he's got a point.
You did a very good job of presenting,
Thank you.
Rosie.
Making the call debates coming up.
Did you guys know that I went to state for debate in high school?
Did not know that.
No.
So be prepared to.
Oh, we got it.
We have
Ooh.
someone. Okay, we have someone new in the Twitch asked who is Mission Impossible representing. So, Mission Impossible is a guy who it's just impossible to trade with him. Like you can never get it's immediate rejection, or the trade sits out there. It's just when you go through your different league mates to try and send a trade to, you just skip over his name. It's like it's never gonna work. Like they're just impossible. The Ghost is the person who's just inactive. They're just never there. They hardly set their lineups.
He has spoken.
The Ghost is it?
The
The
Ghost.
Ghost. All right,
Ghost
the
moves
Ghost is
on.
moving on.
Thank you, Twitch chat.
Yeah, thank you. Be sure to follow the channel.
I
Thank
have
you.
spoken.
All right, so we have the Ghost versus Interstellar. So
These could be the same guy.
sometimes it is.
That's Austin Hennessy. What's up,
Hey,
dude?
what's up, Austin?
Love you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Okay, so yeah, Ghost is inactive. Interstellar. It's just we've hammered it home many times, but it's just you're sitting there in that 4-hour rookie draft, and he's taken all 4 hours.
I got a life. I can deal with that. You set it to the side. It'll be fine. I'm going with the Ghost.
It's the Ghost. I think because the Ghost can also be this guy. It's like the same reason Mission Impossible moved on for the pawn shop in front of the pawn shop guy.
Okay,
You were like
Man.
Team Ghost up until this point, and then you have just 180'd.
Well, ever since Rosie made the point that the Ghost you can just kick out of the league, I'm like, well, that just solves your problem. Like, here's the thing with the Interstellar guy is like he's really frustrating. And then you go through the whole league, and you're not going to kick him out for being slow in the draft. But you're going to have to deal with that year after year after year. And it's like, okay, we know that this is just like this is a giant X on the draft every year.
Here's the thing, though, Andrew. We've all been the Interstellar guy. Come on. We've all been the guy who slept in a little too late or is at work or whatever.
I was on the tarmac and I made picks. Alright.
People are like
I wouldn't-
messaging, like,
no.
hurry up and make
Don't
a
you-
pick.
Don't you put that juju on
I don't
me,
think
Ricky
I've ever
Bobby.
taken longer than 30 minutes to make a pick. And it was because I was in like a work meeting.
Fact check. Somebody go look.
I wish Sleeper posted the average time to draft after each draft. Like that would be fantastic. But they don't do that.
We got to suggest that at our
Yeah.
next
Sleeper.
board meeting.
Hey, call our guy. And tell him
Yeah.
tell him to put Sleeper Squads back the way that it was.
Yeah,
oh
for
my
real.
gosh.
Ruined it.
I think I'm going with the Ghost.
I'm going with Interstellar.
It's the Ghost.
The Ghost it is.
The Ghost is it. All right, the Ghost is the
Ghost.
winner.
The worst league mate is the one who's not a league mate at all.
Alex, what are you doing?
Technical difficulties over here.
Okay. All right, we'll just keep it
It
moving.
didn't look
then.
like technical difficulties. It looked like you closed your laptop screen for something and then you put it back up.
Alex said, "This bracket is stupid. I'm done," and just close his computer.
Why don't you tell us the truth, Alex? What happened?
I was ghosting you guys. That's what.
Nice.
Ooh, Austin Hennessy does say it's Interstellar for him.
Yeah. We'll post this bracket. Let us know what you would have done differently. Was a team, not seated properly? Is there a trait here that was left off that you're like, oh, this was like, it was the first 4 out, and you're like, oh, what a snub on the bracket this year. This person's going to have a chip on their shoulder next year.
If Brexit was in the top right, I feel like it would have made it to the Final Four.
You think so? Over Mission Impossible?
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
But
Possibly.
we should have post the descriptions in them.
Yeah, we will.
When we post the bracket too. But
They were my Arizona.
All right. Oh,
Rosie was riding so high, and then the second we said something, his possible points remaining.
Arizona loses to Princeton. All right, let's end that segment there. When we come back, Austin, Alex, do y'all even want to talk about the Mavs? No?
You have it on the docket. Let's just, it's kind of fun to crap on him. I don't know. Do you want to talk about him? Well, let's see. I haven't even looked at your talking points, to be honest. This is great.
Let's just do it right here real quick. Let's just get it over. I mean,
all right. I'm down to talk about, the play-in.
Okay, fine. We'll do that. When we come back, Rosie's going to hop off. Alex and Austin are going to stick around. We're going to talk about the Mavs, the play-in tournament, just a little NBA action, and then we'll have a little announcement about that at the very end of the podcast. So that's all coming up right after this. All right, we're wrapping up the podcast here, talking about the Dallas Mavericks, talking about the play-in. I've got the Rangers here on the screen in front of me, and let's just say I'm way more excited as a Rangers fan than a Mavs fan right now. If you haven't read my Rangers article from last Friday, I do encourage you to do so. I had a lot of fun writing it, and it's exciting to be a Rangers fan right now. So I think you'll kind of get that from that article last week on the Substack.
Great Substack content lately.
I feel like we've been like on point.
It.
Yeah.
My Cowboys article, and then Rosie's tight end rankings, and then that was the sweet 3 days right there. And then your Rangers article to finish.
Yeah. And then Trent's going to have Stars playoff preview at the end of this week.
I've never been more excited to read a Stars article in my life.
I didn't even know the
Stars
season was going
all the
on.
way.
Like, I didn't even know
Hey.
they were in season. I'm hyped to find out they're in the playoffs.
That is rude.
I
Best
follow
teams in
them once
hockey.
they get to the playoffs. Trent knows that.
Rude.
I'm sorry. I can
Had a great
only
game on Saturday.
follow so much sports. Like, some things have to get cut. I'm sorry. Till this podcast takes off and I can quit my day job. You got to do what you got to do, right? So the Mavs, their season's over. The NBA is conducting an investigation
Yeah, it is.
because apparently
First
the Mavs
team to
are the
ever
first team
tank.
ever to tank. Did y'all know that?
What?
Even though we didn't control our own destiny? Huh?
Yeah. The Trailblazers 2 weeks ago, they were still in the playoff. Like, they still had a shot for the play-in. They just shut
And
Dame
they shut
down.
down. Yeah. That's not taking
No investigation there. The
You just
Utah
need
Jazz,
a break.
they're only, even now, they're 2 games out of the play-in. They just missed it. I feel like Larry
played
Markkinen
G-League
hasn't played in a
squad.
week and a half. Like,
Yeah, he's back in Finland serving his military time.
yeah. But
What is the length on that, by the way?
You have to serve 2 years before you're 30. I
Oh, so is
believe.
he just going to do consecutive off seasons?
I think
Yeah.
so.
He's already done one.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, so they're investigating the Mavs, which is dumb because they didn't, as Alex said, they didn't control their own destiny. The Mavs could have won their game against the Bulls and then won their game against the Spurs, and they still would have missed the playoffs because the Thunder won out. I don't understand how this is hard. Like, what is the NBA not grasping here? I don't get it.
They just hate us. They hate us. They hate Cuban, which I get.
I don't
get why
blame
they hate.
Yes, I understand. I understand that.
I used to not get it. Now I get it. I hate him too.
Yeah. So we'll see what comes of it. I would say they're going to take away a second-round pick, but the Mavs have literally traded all of their future second-round picks. So I don't know what's going to happen. My idea for a penalty is they make Cuban sell the team, But
You're gonna take Davis Bertans.
They're not going to take the. What I will say is you shouldn't worry about them taking a first-round pick for that. That would be pretty egregious. They've never.
you don't
done
think
something
they
like
would
that
like
before.
remove the protections off their pick?
Have they ever done something like that before?
No.
That would seem pretty extreme because we didn't the Knicks get in trouble for the same exact thing last year, and they took like the 50th pick in the
Yeah.
draft.
Well, we were talking about in the group text. Austin, do you remember what we're just preparing ourselves for to happen on the draft lottery as a punishment for the tanking? Do you remember?
Well, it's the most Dallas thing that could possibly happen.
Yep.
And that's that the Mavs draw 11th because somebody moves up and they lose their pick.
Yeah. It's going to happen. That's going to be the punishment.
I'm prepared.
Adam
just
Silver is going to rig the lottery, and the Bulls are going to
someone's
jump
never
up to
done
the
that.
top 4. I'm just already prepared for it. It sucks, man.
It's Murphy's Law just applies to Dallas sports. So
Yeah. At least the
Yeah.
Rangers are winning right now, 4-1.
Go Stars. Stars are what, 6-1?
Yeah, go Stars.
checked.
no stars.
So the Mavs currently have the 10th best lottery odds, 76.3% of keeping the 10th pick, 13.9% chance of moving into the top 4, and 3% chance of the number 1 overall pick.
Oh, you have to do it.
Oh, the sim?
You have to do the sim.
Tankathon.
Tankathon sim.
All right. Should I do it 10 times since they have the 10th best odds?
Yeah.
10 times, sure.
All right. The first one, they'd fall down to 11.
Oh God.
This one actually has Utah and Oklahoma City moving up 8 spots, with Utah winning the lottery to get Wembanyama. Number 2, they stay at 10. 3, move up to 4,
Whoa.
and then select. They'll select Jarris
Horace
Walker
Walker
from Houston.
Jarris Walker. Sorry, I would say Horace. It's Jarris. The J
Like,
is
sign me the heck up.
Mhm.
So that's 4. 5, stay at 10. 6, they move up to 2.
Oh.
Brandon Miller, maybe? Anyone?
Oh,
Yeah.
Scoot.
No, we
We
don't
don't need another
Scoot.
guard.
I guess that's true.
Shooter.
Maybe
we
they
get the
trade that
shooter.
pick,
Trade back to 4.
trade
get
back
Jarris
to
Walker.
4, and get Jarris Walker.
There you go.
Now we're cooking with grease. So that was the 5th sim, I think. No, that was the 6th one. Okay, so 7th, you stay at 10. 8,
Wemby.
That's fine.
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama.
With 8?
With the 8th sim, they move up to number 1.
Oh.
Yeah, the 8th sim, they move up to number 1. The 9th sim, move down to 11. And the
number
10th one, they
10.
stay at 10.
Okay.
Hey,
I can live with
makes
that one.
sense.
So
I'll be fine with 10.
just don't move down to 11, please. That would just be so cruel. Like, the jokes on Twitter, I'd have to, like,
The Suns
become
fans would
Amish
just
for,
be-
like, a week.
The only solace in moving down to 11 would be that it's over.
When the Suns lose in the second round, that's going to be their finals. Is the Mavs moving down to 11?
You're so right. We live rent-free in their heads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's say the Mavs end up keeping the 10th pick. Which would you like them to do? Draft the best player available at 10, try to move up to maybe 4 and get Jarris Walker, or trade their pick for a veteran?
Yeah, trade pick for the veteran.
Really?
Especially if it's a defensive veteran. Easily.
Well, so you could go get Jakob.
For the
He's a
10th
free
pick,
agent.
I don't-
Not for the 10th. I was
He's a
like, go
free
so.
agent.
So that's why I'm saying I don't think you need to trade it for a vet. I think you can go get
Well,
a vet.
depends
in
what
free
type of vet.
agency.
It depends what type of vet would become available for the 10th pick. Which
I think
we
you should
really
package
Is
don't
that
know.
in a deal for like Jaylen Brown?
With who else?
Oh yeah, for Jaylen Brown. Yeah.
It'd be you'd
So,
probably
like,
do the 10th pick,
Hardy,
your 2027 pick,
Hardy.
and Josh Green.
Oh,
Free agency's after the draft, right?
so you don't think they'd ask for Hardy just because it's like a like?
Well,
for
they
like?
would, but they don't get Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. They'd have to get one.
So maybe
Andrew,
we
I'm
just
all
send-
in.
Yeah.
I'm all in on your scenario.
For what?
Trade up for Jarris. Go get Jakob, and run it back. Resign Kyrie, and run it with Luka, Kyrie, Jarris, Josh Green, and Jakob Poeltl.
We sign and trade with Portland, and we get Dame. Sorry, Kyrie, but it's Dame. It's Dame time, right, Austin?
I'd rather have Kyrie than Dame.
Oh, I'd rather have Dame. I'd rather
Hold
have
on.
Dame.
Stop.
I would. I would.
Nah, give me
come?
Dame.
Give me your reasoning.
Well, isn't Dame also older?
Not by a lot.
A couple years. Older.
But Dame
He's
can
like
go to
32.
the JFK Museum and walk out completely fine.
Yeah, the worst we're gonna have to worry about Dame is like he might be a little active in the political ranks, but other than that, he'll be fine.
I mean, I'm not necessarily concerned with the off the court stuff. Like, I just think Kyrie's a better basketball player.
But not by
they're
a lot.
They're the same exact type of player. honestly.
Dame was on a heater
Dame's
this year
only a
before
year
they shut
older.
him down.
Oh yeah, I think that Kyrie is better when it comes to like getting his own shot.
Okay, that's where we disagree.
You
Dame
think
gets
that
his own
Damian
shot
Lillard?
from the logo.
Well,
Dame's
yeah,
made his whole career off getting his own shot.
yeah, but so as far as like ISO down low, like Kyrie,
Yeah,
is
is
much
it
Okay,
shot
yeah,
at the
okay.
rim or is it shot behind the arc?
Yeah,
Because different answers.
Oh yeah,
And 3 is more than 2.
Kyrie can still shoot the three though.
Not like Dame.
Not like Dame, no.
and he's not a great catch and shoot guy. Dame can catch and shoot.
That's true.
All right, let's see here. Mavs have the most important summer of the past decade ahead of them. What's your confidence percentage that they're actually going to nail it?
4 to
Like-
10.
like 5.
4 to 10.
No, a
4 to
percentage.
10.
We need like
5%.
like
Like 5%.
Okay, 41%.
shout out Dirk.
Yeah.
I just don't have any faith in an off season.
Right
Like,
there.
I like
And
trade
all-
deadline Cuban a lot more than I like off season Cuban.
All my confidence is in Nico. None of it is in Cuban.
I'm like, here's second JFK reference. I'm like JFK. I don't like Cuban. Like, I don't like trade deadline, off season.
I said
Like,
I
it's-
like it better.
It's a crisis in Dallas, and
Ayo.
I'm good. I'm done.
So here's the thing. So the confidence that the Mavs as a whole nail the offseason in part means Luka needs to work out with Giannis all summer.
So
Are
he
they
can
workout
request a
buddies?
trade to the Bucks. I mean,
No, so he can get in shape, put on muscle, and go be the MVP.
I wouldn't mind if Luka just sort of chilled. I think he needs to chill.
No,
Needs to
because
get-
then he comes
No, no,
back
no,
and then
no,
it takes him 35 games to get in shape.
He
I
needs to
do
get
want-
mentally right more than in shape, honestly.
I do. I see what Austin is saying. I want that Tim Cato article in August about Luka's in the best shape of his life. Here's the way he changed his diet regimen over the summer in
Yeah.
Slovenia.
I want to see
He's
that.
also got a whole basketball tournament in August. to
I
prepare
want to
for,
be able
so-
to see with my own two eyes that he wants it and gives a darn. All right.
Go look at rookie year Luka and just how much slimmer he was.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I look at his rookie card, I'm just like, wow. What
Like-
happened, man?
Real Madrid, Luka.
Oh, hold on. I got his rookie card behind me, courtesy of Alex. Hold on.
Woo.
Like, you probably can't see it on the stream very well.
No, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Like, he
skinny.
looks so much skinnier.
Oh, you got the ring.
The only
on,
thing
yeah.
is, like, all his powers with his little chunkiness, you know? It's give and take.
Yeah, but muscle weighs more than fat, dude.
I mean, he has muscle. He's not.
Well,
that-
yeah.
He's got,
But up the cardio and the weights and start bulking.
just go hang out with Holger.
I
Just
just
do something.
I mean, you look at like LeBron as a thin boy was great, but like Miami LeBron when he put on some pythons, like could get wherever he wanted.
All right, so you just want him to get jacked. That's fair.
I just want him to get jacked. I want him to show that he cares and that he's taking time to invest in his body to where he can
Yeah,
endure
yeah,
a full
it's-
season.
Well, it's going to help that he's going to have a long off season this time around because he doesn't have to play basketball again until August 25th is when the FIBA World Cup starts.
Yeah.
Slovenia's in that. Mariners just tied it up in the 9th inning. All right, moving on.
All right, NBA play-in predictions. So we've got the 2 7-8 matchups on Tuesday night. You've got Atlanta at Miami, and then Minnesota at the Lakers. These will be deciding the 7 seed for the East and the West Conference. Atlanta at Miami. I feel like it's Miami here, right? Like that's the play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what the spread is on this game. Hold on, let me pull it up. But even before looking at the spread, Alex, Miami is that who you're leaning with here? They're a 5-point favorite.
Did y'all see the
Do you
report?
guys
on,
have the head-to-head records with Miami and Atlanta?
Give me
Did y'all
just
see
a
the Trae Young
second.
trade rumors today?
I did.
Good.
They have the green light. The front office has the green light.
Sign and trade Trae Young for Kyrie. Who says no?
Let's see. Miami. So head-to-head this year.
It's playoffs.
Miami has
Spoelstra.
3-1 in their 4 games.
I like Spoelstra
Against
in
the Hawks?
postseason.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be a better coach versus
Yeah.
Quinn Snyder, that guy. Yeah.
I like Quinn Snyder.
And Miami's
As
at home,
coach.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Miami's the home team? Yeah, South Beach.
Line is Miami by 5.
Yeah. And then Timberwolves without Rudy Gobert at the Lakers.
And Jaden Ivey, who would be
And
guarding.
no, Jaden McDaniels.
And
Sorry, Jaden
the
McDaniels.
The refs are going to be on the Lakers side. It's the Lakers. They're
McDaniels would be guarding the best player on the floor.
Let's just say that I think LeBron could walk into the 10th row and stab a fan, and he would still continue to play in this game. The refs are not going to let the Lakers lose this game.
I think the Lakers can upset the Grizzlies round 1.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the
think
Lakers here. They're an 8-point favorite.
It's clicking at the right time.
Yeah, I guess I got to see how they look.
They've won 11 of 15 or something.
I really
Yeah,
haven't
all
watched
right.
the Lakers lately, so I'll get back to you.
They've been playing good defense. Then Wednesday. So by the time you're listening to this, those 2 matchups are going to be tonight, so Tuesday night. Wednesday night, you got Chicago at Toronto for the 9-10 matchup. And then in the 9-10 in the West, you got Oklahoma City at New Orleans. I actually kind of like both 10 seeds over the 9 seeds here. Like, give
10
me
seeds never won.
Give me
10
the
seeds
Bulls
never won.
and then give me the Thunder. They're both 5-point underdogs in both of these matchups, but that's why I'm leaning.
No Zion.
No Zion
Right,
and
yeah.
the Thunder. I mean, the Thunder are scrappy, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean that gigantic comeback they had on the Mavs earlier this year.
yeah. So,
SGA too.
hungry.
I mean, SGA's just played lights out all year.
They do have the best player on the floor in that matchup as well.
Yeah, I like the Thunder. And then the Bulls, that's a hard one for me.
I can't even believe the Raptors made it, honestly. I was not paying attention.
they were a much more competent team after they traded for Pirtle because they didn't have a center, and then he gave them like a competent big man.
Is there head-to-head?
that's
What's
Crazy
the
how that
head-to-head?
works.
I know, right?
Mavs
Can you
takes
imagine having a
notes.
competent big man?
I did not.
Do we know the head-to-head on the Raptors and the Bulls?
Give me just a
And
second.
OG Anunoby. Well, ESPN has Anunoby as doubtful and Van Vliet as doubtful, but I don't know if that's right.
They'll
So they
play.
played
It's the
3
play.
times this
die.
year, and Toronto won 2 out of 3.
It's in Toronto.
No, it's in. No, wait.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it?
in Toronto.
Give me Toronto. I know
All right.
Levine and DeRozan are tempting, but give me
So
Toronto.
Toronto and the
That's-
Thunder for you, Austin,
Yeah. Give me Toronto and give me the Thunder.
Alex.
I'm gonna go Thunder and Bulls. Bulls just because we got Mr. Playing himself, Pat Bev, in there, offering that defensive and But yeah, the Bulls and the Thunder. I just like the Thunder. They're young. They're hungry. I think their whole roster's like under the age of 24 almost. They might just barely be above that 24 age
And
mark
they've
for like
still got
average
picks.
age. And they have all the picks in the world, and
Mhm.
Chet hasn't even played yet. Like,
Future is
Thunder,
bright in Oklahoma
buy some
City,
Thunder
man.
stock right now, folks. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a problem, especially with the way the Mavs are looking.
Mhm.
All right,
not
so let's see. For the 8 seed, in our scenario, you would have for the West Atlanta versus either Chicago or Toronto. Do you have? Let me say this: do you have either 9 or 10, the winner of that game beating Atlanta, or is Atlanta going to be the 8 seed?
Say it again.
So like you have Chicago winning over Toronto, Alex. Do you have Chicago then beating Atlanta, or do you have Atlanta winning?
I would probably lean Atlanta, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls pulled it out.
Yeah, I mean Atlanta does have experience.
It's just they're so inconsistent. You don't know who's gonna, what type of Atlanta team's showing up that night.
You don't know if Trae Young is going to have 12 assists or if
They're
he's gonna
literally
turn the ball over
41
12
and
times.
41, so you never know.
Well, and they haven't been more than a game over or under 500 in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Like
They'll
they're
lose one
41
more.
and 41, and they would be like 38 and 38, and then they'd win a game and be 39 and 38, and then they'd lose a game. And then they'd lose a game and then win a game. Like they've stayed right at 500 all season, which is just insane.
Almost impressive.
So if they're losing the 7-8, then that means they're going to win the 8 seed game. So yeah, give me Atlanta.
Yep.
Law of averages. In the West, let's see, Minnesota versus the Thunder.
Give me the Thunder.
Give me the
Thunder
Thunder,
going
baby.
to come in from 10.
Yeah, the
Depleted.
Minnesota's depleted. Locker room issues. They probably don't want to be there that much. I mean, they won't probably want to be there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Thunder.
All right. That's it. That's our play-in predictions. By the time we come back next week, we'll have started the first round of the playoffs, which is very exciting. And I'll also say that coming, let's say Thursday morning, you're actually going to have a bonus episode of Making the Call. I'm going to sit down with our
Oh
good
my
friend Matt
goodness.
Axelson, our token
Light the
Kings
beam.
fan. Light the beam, baby. He was on this podcast back in November. I asked him, give me your final record prediction for the Kings, and he said 48 and 34, and you can take that to the bank. Well, guess what? The Kings finished up the year 48 and 34 on the dot. So he clearly knows what he's talking about with the Kings. We're going to have him on to preview their first round matchup against the Golden State Warriors and also talk some other NBA playoff matchups. And then I'm sure we'll hit the playoffs really heavily next week on next Monday's podcast. So that's what we got in store here, Making the Call this Friday. I'll say it again. Trent has his Dallas Stars playoff preview article coming out on the Substack, so make sure you subscribe to that. Make sure you go try Liquid IV today. You can use promo code MTC for 20% off every single order at liquidiv.com. They've got 12 delicious flavors. We love it. Trent just ordered some today. He's got a hockey tournament this weekend. He puts Liquid IV in all of his water bottles for his hockey tournament. So
In his veins.
it's
Direct injection.
awesome. We're very happy to be partnering with them. So you can use code MTC for 20% off at checkout at liquidiv.com. Also, make sure you go try Firegrounds Coffee. Use promo code MTC10 for 10% off there. We love that coffee. We love Firegrounds. It's delicious coffee. We're all about the beverages here. That's what I'm learning. We've got good coffee. We've got good
And
hydration.
the Benjamins.
If you're thirsty, you come to Making the Call. We'll hook you up. So yeah, I hope everyone has a fantastic week. Oh, the dad joke.
Ooh.
I almost got us out of here without the dad joke. I'm really sorry about that.
You would have been
That
fired.
would have been a historic moment.
I know.
Travesty.
What did baby corn say to mama corn?
What?
Where's popcorn?
That's a good one.
That was nice. Good
All right,
job.
we'll end it there. I hope everyone has a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time.